And let's get into this first story. From Timcast.com, Netflix adds anti-censorship section to corporate culture memo. Quote, if you'd find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix may not be the best place for you, the streaming service has advised employees. And that's really it. That's the big smack in the face. The document, it's their culture, it's their corporate culture memo, whatever, guidelines, was originally a 125 slide presentation created by co-founder Reed Hastings to regulate the company without a traditional corporate structure. Now it's called Netflix Culture Seeking Excellence. And they're basically saying they've added an anti-censorship portion to it. And everybody basically assumes it's about Dave Chappelle. Netflix dumps a ton of money on one of the most prominent, if not the greatest comedian of all time, or at least he's the GOAT, right? They're going to make a lot of money on this, and their own employees hurt their business. But you know what else they did? If you watch the Dave Chappelle special, I forgot which one was called, not The Closer. It was the one before this where he makes the
Sticks and Stones.
I think it was Sticks and Stones.
Yeah.
Where he has that funny bit where he's like, "Ladies, if you can kill it, I can at least abandon it," stuff like that. So he also, imitated a Chinese person and a very offensive stereotype. He went for it. The Closer was basically him clearly, ruffled up. He was basically defending himself the whole time. Like, why are people yelling at me? So Netflix was like, wow, that was not that good. They cost us money. If you don't like it, get out.
I feel like at the corporation, there should be something in their contracts where if you speak out against the company, I don't know if every corporation knows this, but that there's a recourse that you can be fired with no bailout package or anything. If they don't have that, maybe they should consider putting that into their contracts for their employees. And secondly, Jeremy Hamby, the Quartering, said this earlier today. He's reporting on this as well, that they're about to do a mass layoff. I mean, they just lost massive amounts of money. They're about to lay people off. So if they can get them to quit, they don't have to pay them unemployment.
You know what story I really love is when there's a company I used to work for that I left, and a bunch of employees I knew there were like, we're going to unionize. And I said, you realize that company doesn't make any money, right? Like it's all investment. There's no profit. So if you're getting paid off of someone else's money and you're not making any money for them, and then you go to the boss and say, I want more money, he's going to be like, get out. You're fired. There's no negotiating when you don't make any money. And they didn't believe me. They were like, no, we're going to get raises and benefits. And I was like, dude, you need to go right now and tell them that you don't want to be a part of that. You love your job and you'll look for any opportunity within any of the sister networks. And then sure enough, what ends up happening is they all come and say, we want to unionize. And they were like, everyone's fired. 300 people just gone. Look, my attitude for most people is like, unionize if you want to. Back then I was just like, but just keep in mind what your negotiating power is. So when you have Netflix, here's why I bring this up. These employees stomp their feet, stage walkouts, protest the company they work at. What do you think is going to happen when it comes time for layoffs? Like the growth is not infinite. There will come a time when Netflix is hurting, and they're going to be like, okay, we got to lay off 10% of the company. Who should we start with? How about all of the people that were complaining, causing us bad press and weren't doing their jobs?
Yeah, so this is a classic case of the squeaky wheel getting the grease for sure. And in this instance, it's not something positive. This is where you're like trying to figure out, all right, who needs to go? Oh, right, you were complaining about this guy who was going to make us a ton of money. You can get out. Don't want you anymore. Very much a case of flying too close to the sun, feeling very entitled to everything that Netflix has to offer. And like they have to bow to you. They don't, turns out, which I think is great.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I obviously think collective bargaining can be a great thing, but people have to consider the value that they're bringing to the table as well as how profitable the company they're working for actually is, because oftentimes it does happen that a business will run without making anything and the company's completely sponsored by other people's money or by loans, and so they really can't afford to give people more. Sometimes it also happens to be the case that profit margins for certain industries are just razor thin, and what you actually have to do to make more than that is pick a different industry.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit concerned that these people are going to go to other industries and bring the same horrible mindset, and that these industries are going to kowtow to them just like they have in the past. Well, it's a little bit concerning, but who knows? You know
what's going to happen is Netflix is going to write amazing recommendations for all of these employees they want to get rid of.
Please.
And it's going to be like, they were so good, but with the downsizing, it's unfortunate. I wish we didn't have to let them go. Mm-hmm. And then some other company is going to be like, well, it looks like everybody really liked you. You're hired.
Suckers.
Recommendations are such a tricky thing, right? Because landlords will also recommend people that they just want to get rid of
Yeah.
to other landlords. Yeah, they're great. No, they pay their rent on time. They're never loud. They don't make a mess of the place.
That's a good point. I had to give a recommendation one time, and I was like, I'm going to tell the truth about this person. They should not hire this MF. This person was not good. And I don't know if that person got the job or not, but I was like, you need to know what you're getting into.
You did the right thing.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's your responsibility as a business owner to be honest about your employees' behavior.
It's just such a case of social justice for them to just be like, oh, we're going to say super nice things about them. So wherever they end up working, that person's going to be blindsided by freaking activism. It's not helpful to any workplace.
Well, yeah.
Get well, go broke.
Yeah.
Also,
Yep.
and again, I mean, whenever you're dishonest, it's going to cause problems. And if you're dishonest about something like that, you're actually doing the person more harm than good. Because if you're being dishonest with the people who you're sending them to, there's a higher probability that you were also being dishonest with them when you were expressing potential problems or failing to. And so you've deprived them of an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
This is obviously mostly about Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
But I also just, warn people. Cuties had a big backlash too. And if Netflix is really saying, "Oh, we're not going to get rid of this. Artistic expression is so important." Yeah, that's what they were claiming about Cuties, where to produce the movie, they actually trained little girls to do sexual dancing.
It's
It's like you shouldn't do that. And they also have Big Mouth, which is just the weirdest show.
I don't understand that show. Can somebody who's seen it explain it to me? Like, what's the draw?
I don't want to say it.
You just don't want to say?
Like, okay, it's about
Family-friendly
children
version.
having sex. There you go.
Yeah, it's like 12-year-olds experiencing puberty, but it's like overly sexualized. There's a demon that sits on the kid's shoulder that's like a sex demon. I've only seen it once.
That's real?
Yeah.
It's really disturbing.
Disgusting.
And there's
Yeah.
overt sex and like sexual acts in it.
With little kids.
How's
with,
that
like,
allowed?
High school kids.
Seriously.
I mean,
Middle school
South Park had a few jokes like that in its run, like a handful. But this is a show just based about that. Like that's all it is. But I guess the one thing is, South Park never South Park has done some really over the line jokes.
Of course.
But this show, I remember I was hanging out at some dudes, at some party, and they had Netflix on, and the show was on, and then I'm like, "What is this?" And then I'm watching it. I don't even want to say. I don't even think for a family-friendly show I can explain what they
Right.
showed. Like I can't say it.
Well, I was just,
There was materials that were shown from a male, like on a child, and I'm just like, I don't know why you guys are watching this. What is this?
that's like not even edgy. That's just full on perversion.
Jail.
That's disgusting.
Jail.
Right
Like,
to jail. Yeah.
That's why I'm like, Netflix, censor that one.
And
Yeah,
I
please.
don't always agree with you, Tim, but it's one of those shows, man. When I walked into the room, my friend was watching it, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Why? And I walked out. I wouldn't let myself be near it while it was
Yeah.
on. It was so disturbing.
I'd be willing to bet that if we showed on this show a clip from Big Mouth, we'd get taken down.
So this strikes me as genderqueer the show because you can't read that in front of a school board meeting and they're like, "Oh, please shut up. We have kids at home watching this." So if you were to show this on, YouTube, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you cannot show that." Well, it's on Netflix.
There was one controversy where Netflix uploaded a clip from the show that shows two prepubescent girls fully nude walking through a bathhouse with a bunch of other naked women that are all singing and dancing about being naked. And what they argued was, no, it's good because it's body positivity. It's like to teach little girls to like their bodies. And I was just like, I don't know if you need to actually show all of this, to give someone a message about it. It seems like an excuse.
I mean, you want to teach little kids about their bodies. That's the parent's job. You put a TV show with little girls parading around. 47-year-old men are going to be watching it too.
That's the
that
point.
pisses me off. I feel like with Netflix, though, they get so much flack from everybody. Like, they get flack from everything that they do. They're getting flack, so they're telling the employees, like, if you guys say anything, it's going to add because they lost so much money with their stock value and all of that. So it's like, don't come out. Don't, even with the Twitter stuff, it's like the inflated numbers. I feel like they're trying to keep people from doing whistleblowing or doing anything that could potentially have an impact because they're so sensitive to bad press right now. And I think it's just a weak move, I guess.
Yeah, the free speech argument is there. Like, oh, these employees should be able to say whatever they want about their parent company. And you know what they are. Legally, they are. But the company has the right to fire them. And if you don't like where you're working and you want to complain about that company publicly, then you probably shouldn't be working there.
Well, yeah, I mean, also, it's one of these things where you can have conversations with people who are above you in the company or voice your criticisms within, it is sort of a strange thing to go outside of the organization and start trashing it. At that point, it's like, why are you working there? Why do you work for these people you think are horrible? Are you doing something to try to change it on the inside? And if that's not working, again, why are you still there?
I feel like that's to me that raises all kinds of red flags. Like if you're telling outside people that you hate the company, what are you doing during your company hours that could potentially, like, are you taking away, stealing information? Are you not doing your job like you're supposed to? Are you eating up your hours? Like, that's to me, I feel like, well, a lot of the contracts that you sign to companies as well, they're like, you have to go through our public relations office. You can't, if the media reaches out to you, you can't talk to them.
Right.
The social media policy. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's sort of like something that I guess people never thought the companies would actually follow through. But I guess Netflix is like, you know.
Honestly, I'm glad that they are, because people have gotten so unprofessional. I don't care where I worked. I worked for a lot of different places and I had a lot of horrible work experiences. Never complained about the company that I work for, nor should you.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.